Well, even though the entire world's in lockdown due to this exciting virus, the ladies over here, they have no idea what's going on and they need to be attended. And luckily, as a beekeeper, you can still do your shit, so that's really cool. I reckon these girls, some of them are going to need some supers. They're probably about 4 months since they've been in here, since the packages arrived. And so we're just going to have a little bit of a wander through. I'll give them a bit of a lift, see whether we got any weight. And I've got a trailer full of supers, so I'm feeling positive, but who the hell knows until you actually check them. Hello girls, what are you doing? That's a bit odd, some of them are coming through the back door. For the fun part. This girl here doesn't look too healthy. She's a bit slow, but look at it. The neighbours are looking all right. This is the joys of a young hive. Sometimes maybe I didn't feed them long enough, or perhaps they just weren't strong enough. I don't know, we'll just have a look in here and see what's going on, but it doesn't look real promising. Usually a bad sign when you see ants on the outside of your beehive. So you can see they've built themselves some nice comb, but obviously they just didn't have enough workers to carry enough food back home to keep everybody going. That's what happens. Sometimes if there's not enough, that's the thing with this is, like, there's got to be enough workers to bring back the food, to leave some ladies at home, to actually keep everybody warm and cosy. But anyway, the joys of beekeeping, that's what you call a dead out. So there's another yay excitement. I mean, at least you can make more when you get a dead out, but still, it's just sad when one of your family members don't make it. But the rest of them, except for this one, looks a bit interesting. Maybe that's why I put these two at the end, because I wasn't sure how healthy they were. Yep. I think we'll go and get a suit on and a smoker in a minute. This is a bit brave, or probably silly actually. We will go and get our suit on and get our smoker organised, and we'll have a proper look. Even with me, there's only a certain amount of braveness. I don't know. You lads that get out there in your t-shirt and hat, well, good for you, but I'm a big softie. At least I won't get stung on my arms anymore. Will I? If I can get my gloves over all this lot. The wife got all excited because I've got a little tear in my bee suit, and being that they're so bloody cool, I thought, well, stuff it. I'm going to get another one. They're not the cheapest bee suit out there, but saves you getting your ass stung. Mum's made me arms a little bit longer because my old one rode up a little bit and you'd get stung in here, so. But I think maybe it's a bit longer than I had anticipated. Perhaps I won't even need gloves. I could just roll my hands down in here like this. Just go, hey, maybe that's what it is. The suit's its own glove. Woo, I just pull the ripcord and keep myself safe that way. Nah, maybe not. Anyway, we will find out. Fuck, we're on fire, we're on fire. My God, get in the hole. That's what happens when your hessian's a little bit dry. It lights up pretty easy. Whew. If you want to get your hands on one of these BB suits, they've got a couple of websites. I think they're from England, which is pretty cool. And so far they've become my favourite, so why not? I'm not really sure BB, actually maybe that stands for Bush Bee Man, but still. Perhaps I'll get them to put a little M on the M end. Nah, not really. I'm pretty sure that's their emblem way before me. I'm not 100% convinced about me little hat here. It's a bit odd with me little head, but still. Anyway, maybe I've got too big a head or too small a head. I'm not really sure. And with the little sun at the back, it's kind of cool. They put this little lip here at the front, so you got your little sporty hat going on. So that might be good. The dude that makes these suits sent me this screed of all the cool things about it, but I can't remember any of that, so. Except for the fact that it's 5 mils thick, so you can't get stung, because apparently a bee sting is 3 mils long. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I didn't even know a bee stinger was 3 mils long, but still. So if you want to see all the cool shit, just go to their website, and I'm sure it's all written up there for you. Not that this is meant to be an advert or anything, but let's go and have a look in here properly. If you're wondering why the back of my, oh, you won't be able to have, because there's no smell-o-vision. If you're wondering why it stinks back here, I had a drum of bloody mineral terps. A little pot of mineral terps, and for some reason out of the shop they didn't have the lid on properly, so it's all spilt everywhere in here. So it stinks a bit horrid. I ran into this lass in the supermarket the other day, and she says, oh well, that's good. With all this lockdown business, my hubby had to come home, and I've got my list on the fridge, and he's ticking off all the jobs I want him to do. And I said, well, I'm actually in the other boat because my missus has been put up a bit before me because I'm still running my ass off. And she's been in my shed making a few boxes, and of course she couldn't stand me mess. So the place looks bloody immaculate. It's unreal. She's even swept the floor and stacked shit up and moved cupboards, and oh, she's so proud of herself. It's bloody awesome. Well, I'm pretty chuffed too, so I don't know. Maybe I should put a list on my shed wall and get some shit ticked off. Of course, I don't know if she made a list of where she put everything, so I know where I can find stuff, because I did have an organised chaos system. So, but anyway, I was pretty enthused that she cleaned up my mess. Ooh. Hello, chicks. What's going on, ladies? Are we all happy? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got about 4.5 frames going here, which is quite good considering. But I don't think they technically probably don't need a super just yet. We'll just have a look how quick they're coming up. They're not over fat, but they're bringing in some food. They're laying up a nice pattern. So, coming together a little bit at a time of this journey. One thing you do discover on this journey of beekeeping is that you usually start off and you've got, I don't know, wild swarms or some you've acquired from some other backyard beekeeper, and they're a little bit crazy, but then suddenly you get all excited and you think, I'm going to get some new queens, or I'm going to get a package of bees, and they're just so much different. They're just sitting around going, oh, it's only a silly bloody human, it's all good, let's just keep on with our lives. They're just way more chilled out. It's very interesting. I guess over the last several thousand years they've sort of isolated out which is the most chilled out queens, and said, yeah, these are really easy to work with, they're productive and they're chilled. And the other thing I've found, when they're relaxed, you can find the queen heaps easier. Here she is just having a little bit of a wander around. She doesn't even care that I'm here. I don't know, but they just seem so much different when you work the difference between a non-domesticated beehive and a, I don't know. Not that there's any such thing as domesticated bees anyway. They're all really just doing their own thing. It does make a huge difference. Now, if you're new to beekeeping, probably buying a package of bees, even though it seems expensive, is not a bad option, because you just get started and they're all just nice and relaxed and chilled out. Just remember to feed them up a little bit when you get them. Or a nucleus colony from a professional breeder is good. Pop you back in here, nice and gentle. After all my raving about having a nice queen, let's not kill her. That would suck if we crushed her between the frames. Now these guys probably don't really need a super, but since we're here and it's a fair drive to get to this site, we might give them one anyway, but we'll see. We'll make that decision and we'll go along here a bit and we'll have a bit of a conflab.
What the fuck's conflab mean?
I don't know, isn't that when you have a conversation with your flapping lips?
Sounds like you, quintessential you.
Ha! Nice! Oh, see, he's been away from me for a couple of days and he's into it already. Well, it looked to me as if I reckon we've only got 2 that are actually going to be in need of having a super. The trusty cameraman was asking me what I'm actually looking for, because here we are trying to do some supering and there's not a whole lot that needs supering, but there's a few, but not a lot. So what I normally do is I'm looking for how many frames of bees I've actually got in the box, so how much room they've got and how they're filling out. There's very little point in putting a super on in the vain hope they're going to give you some honey in the super unless they're full up downstairs, because that's not how bees operate. They're very sensible little critters. Although if you were to put a super on and not a queen excluder, then they'd probably just make a round ball of brood anyway, but that's not what we're trying to achieve. So when you look in your box, you just look down and you just see how many solid rows of bees there are. And I'd say there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 solid rows, which means they've got another 4 actual frames that are empty. So over here, if we go over here, they haven't even got to this frame yet, because they don't build out just for the hell of it. They're quite sensible little girls. They actually build a nice little cluster and they work their way out so as it's warm in the middle, keep all their babies safe. And we go back here and this frame's got a little bit of activity. They're starting to expand a bit. Put a bit of storage out on this one. There's no eggs out there. The next one in is still honey, so I don't reckon these girls are going to need a super just yet, which is a pity for me, but it is what it is. Because when the ladies are coming up, you don't want to give them too much more room than what they actually need. So otherwise they've just got a whole heap of space that bloody wastes a whole lot of energy to keep warm. And I mean, ultimately it's their little home and we're just going to harvest the excess, not the, you know, they're not going to necessarily go out and make honey just because we want them to. They're going to go and make honey for us to take when they get to a certain level that they're too full. Sometimes when you do a split or you buy a package or you get a little newt colony, just depending on the season, sometimes in the first season of, you know, production, you don't even get some honey. You just got to wear with it. But ultimately, the point of the exercise is to keep the ladies alive and keep them happy. Because first and foremost, they're gathering honey for themselves, not necessarily for us beekeepers. So just keep that in mind. It's actually their food and it's our luxury. So when we put the girls here, these ones were fairly strong. There's a couple more up there that were pretty hectic. I put a super on them. I'm not actually expecting to have too much honey upstairs, but I just wanted to show you basically how full the brood box needs to be before they even bother going upstairs to store anything. So let's just poke our head in here, shall we? Now you can see they were storing honey in the roof. So they were getting themselves all enthusiastic. They're starting to move that around. We'll just take this super off and have a look what's in here. Cool. So we'll just pop this queen excluder off and we'll have a bit of a look. Now these girls are starting to get a bit filled up. Well, they're not totally crowded up here at the top because the girls are all out working, I would think. We'll just have a little bit of a look in here and see how full this is. But even when they're that full, they're not necessarily going to give you any honey because they're still breeding up. So they're working, they're feeding their babies, and so they're consuming the stuff that they're bringing in. So don't freak out if you don't get honey straight away. Let's have a little bit of a look-see and see what's going on. See if we can't find some brood. What are you up to, chicks? There's not many eggs there. There's a bit of honey going on. Hang on, we'll just pop that down there for a second. What are we doing, girls? Hey, what are we doing? Looks like you've had just a big hatching. We'll move along another one. Oh, the fun of it all. Hopefully you haven't lost your boss anywhere in here. That'd suck. Wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be great? Ah, man. Can't actually see too much happening in the laying department. They're just bringing in just nectar. Oh, that's good. Here's the boss anyway, so she's still in here. It's always a bit of a hectic little individual sometimes, this stuff. So maybe she's working that way, laying. She's not laying like crazy, but they're bringing in a lot of nectar, so I think they'll be all right. You just got to make sure you don't get carried away giving them more room than they need, because otherwise all you do is create another challenge for them. I don't really know how it works in the wild. I guess they just, I don't know, maybe they just move down the log. I'm not really sure how that operates. Ultimately, you can't do too much harm unless it's freezing cold, giving them a super when they don't need it. You'll just disappoint yourself because you'll come here looking for honey and there won't be any. Personally, I don't like taking too much honey out of the brood box because I don't think that's a really good option because they generally need all that food down there. But, you know, if it gets really crowded and really crazy, maybe you can, but... I've got one hive up here that's kind of on the edge of needing one, which is, we'll show you that, which is where I reckon you'd put one on. The rest of these, I don't know, I think we're not really going to need a super just yet. The wife won't be impressed because, as I was saying, she's tidied up the shed and she was getting all excited trying to get rid of some of these out of the way, but they might have to pop back in her way. Anyway, the joys of beekeeping. You just really never know, but you just can't talk them into doing shit they're not going to do. So I reckon this one here is getting pretty close to thinking about it. But if you have a look, you've still got basically, what do we got? 2 frames at this end that haven't really been taken up yet. So even with that, you've still got another month or so before you have to get too stressed out about it. But we'll pop one on it just because we're here. And it's basically 3 hours away. So just humour me and I might just put one on just so I've said, oh, we had to go and do that. So now if you've just wandered down into your backyard wondering what to do, just think of me. I've just driven 3 hours and I'm really, and a trailer full of supers and I'm only going to need one. And the back of my utes full of queen excluders and I don't need more than one of them. But you know what happens with beekeeping when you're on the move? you bloody turn up when you don't think you need anything, and then you need everything. So one time in my life I'm organised, and I technically don't need it all. But anyway, we're going to pop this one super on to humour me, and we'll see what happens next. Born free as the bees fly. Oh, so even though I'm going to put a super on these ladies, I'm not expecting to come back here and have a big honey harvest before the end of the season. We're going to just pop our little queen excluder on. Of course, these come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes. You got metal ones and these sort of flat plastic ones, or rounded edge plastic ones. There's like no end to the excitement when it comes to the excluders. There you go. As I was saying, just remember you're actually trying to just do what the bees want. It's not necessarily got anything to do with what we want. What was one of the better quotes I've ever heard about beekeeping was, sometimes what the best for the beekeeper is not necessarily best for the bees. So really ultimately, you got to just do what they need. Even if you are 3 hours from home.